Good day, guys. Welcome to Forex Walker. Welcome to episode 57. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the global economy moving towards the closure of the year in the southern hemisphere. Remember, I talked about this spike. This is the volatility index. So I talked about uh, the volatility index being directly proportional to the JPY or the safe havens, but in this case, I'll be using the JPY. Uh, so this spike normally happens once a year. Here it shows you down here that it happened on the 5th of August 2024. Here is the same spike. It happened on the 7th of April 2025. So here, as you can see, this one will be happening next year. So we have a spike here. We have a first touch, a second touch. The third touch will break above this level, but I don't believe that it will be this third touch because we're moving towards the closure of the year in the southern hemisphere and the closure of the year being summer. So I don't believe that it will go all the way up here because if it does comes up here, it will be a spike that happened twice in a year, which we had here on April the 7th, 2025. So I'm expecting the third spike to happen next year, not this year. So here we have our first touch, second touch, and we had our manipulating third touch here. So I expect the biggest spike that will manipulate this level, I expect it to happen next year, not this year. So these spikes normally don't happen twice in a year. So they only happen once. But these small spikes here, they only happen, these are just the secondary channels. And this yellow line and that one is the primary channels. So what will happen here is that yes, we will get a spike, but we don't know whether the spike will go all the way up here or not. But what is important is that we need to have our first touch, second touch, and our third touch manipulates. So what we're expecting is that after this current spike that we're looking at, we expect the global economy to keep moving lower and lower towards the closure of the year, and this being the last spike in the 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 year of 2025. So I'm expecting something like this, and the reason, in fact, I'm not expecting it to go above this high here. I'm expecting it to be some kind of an order block or a manipulation of this high. So this is just a signal that is telling us that we're moving towards the closure of the year and that the market, the global market in this fourth term will be pumping for the last time. That means we're about to get our last peak. So the US dollar is also moving because of the same spike. Now we need to talk about the reason why we have this current spike. So the reason is that we had the United States president was talking about sending Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. So I'm talking geopolitics and war. So there will be consequences because Russia will respond. We don't know how Russia will respond, but I don't believe that the Russian president will attack the United States. I believe that they might do something huge, but it will have to be on the land of Ukraine. Maybe they might take over the whole country. They might lose their minds and, you know, take over the city of Kiev. But Russia, in that war, they were not intending to kill civilians. Their intentions were to fight slowly and use time to win the war. So I don't think they want to do some kind of a genocide that is happening in Gaza. So I believe they'll just keep fighting, but they'll do something big that if they do something that is like a nuclear bomb, then we'll get those two spikes in 1 year. It will actually pump higher than where I have my mouse. It will actually go much higher than this, but I don't expect that to happen. So yes, Russia will respond, but I'm not expecting something that big. Uh, so that's the first scenario. The second scenario is the tariff war that at the moment the United States is losing. The United States president announced that they were able to hold a deal of 18 trillion, which I believe is because of the deal that the previous presidents had with William Ruto, the president of Rwanda. His job was to mobilize rebels and use those rebels to destabilize the richest country in Africa in terms of minerals. That was the mandate that was left with the president of Rwanda. So President Trump was able to close that deal by pretending to be the savior of the day. They talked about bringing American. They talked about opening a military base in the DRC to bring Congo to bring stability to Congo, but we know that they are the people who created the instability in Congo. So what they did is that they are going to bring their own mining companies to mine in Congo in exchange for protection. But we know who's causing the destabilization, which is and the surprising thing is that in that deal, the very same president of Rwanda was called to come and sign for a share in the mining industry. So imagine a foreign president from another country coming to sign for shares in uh, the mine in the DRC, which is something that is confusing. But that was something that the United States had promised the president of Rwanda, and that was the deal. So the U.S. president is talking about trying to support what you see here, this market moving higher. This might be that 18 trillion deal in Rwanda in the Congo might be the reason why we might get to the peak, but there is nothing that is pushing the US dollar higher. Uh, my belief is that the US dollar might be exiting the recession uh, because of the inflationary numbers and the GDP performance that I've revealed on the previous videos. So I believe, okay, I talked about the when a currency exits uh, a recession, what happens is that the currency stops listening to macroeconomics. At the moment, the US dollar is bearish in the form of macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is telling us that there's nothing that is pumping this currency higher. But at the moment, the US dollar refuses to listen to macroeconomics, and that's the reason why I believe that the US dollar is actually exiting the recession. And remember, they held interest rates for a long time before they introduced this last interest rate cut that we had in September. I think it was the 17th of September. So that's the reason why I believe the US dollar, that's the first reason why the US dollar is pumping. And the second reason is this HIMARS. Remember, the US dollar is actually a safe haven. So when we have those times of uh, uh, high geopolitics tensions where you get wars and all of those things, the US dollar will pump and the JPY will also pump. So that might be the first reason why it's pumping, and the second reason being that the US had signed that the US president had signed the those Tomahawk missiles to be shooting into Moscow, because they say they are like a 2,000 kilometer. They have a 2,000 kilometer range, and they'll be shooting Moscow directly. And when they bring those weapons, you need to understand that the Ukrainians don't know how to use those weapons, so they need the American military to come and use those weapons in Ukraine, which is something that is confusing. First of all, Ukraine is not a member of the European Union, and they're getting benefits of being a member of the European Union. So, and the second thing is that Ukraine is not a NATO member, but they're receiving the benefits of being a NATO member. So they just receive weapons for free, and the NATO members are paying for those weapons. So those are that's NATO being directly involved in the war, which is the reason why we might get a spike that is higher than this. But that spike will depend on the response in Russia. The last time the US sent HIMARS missiles to Ukraine, we actually had a response which was uh, a nuclear bomb or an ICBM called Ureshnik. So Russia hit them with that bomb, but it did not have any warhead inside of it. So we don't know what will happen at the moment. Perhaps Russia, perhaps they might respond differently. I don't know how, but Russia will have to attack U.S. military base. I don't know what they're going to, how they're going to respond, but that response will decide whether this spike that is rallying, that is aligning the global economy towards the closure of the year, which is a pump of all commodity currencies. Because once the spike turns around, you will see the global economy giving us that last push. So here I want to show you the JPY currencies and what they're doing. So this is the pound JPY, and I'm sorry, I'm using two hands. So when you see a spike in the volatility index, what happens is that you see something like this. You see those are commodity currencies: the euro, the Turkish, the euro, all of those other currencies. You see them collapsing. Let me try to find another currency that is. Let me look for the AUD. Using one hand, so I apologize for how slow I am. So you can see the same thing across all of those currencies that you were looking at. So this is something that pushes our currencies, commodity currencies, in the opposite direction. So that's, let me show you the NZD. I know it's the same family. Oh, I can't see. So that's the NZD. The NZD is also collapsing because of that. Let me just remove those things here. So you can see that the same thing is happening on this currency. You can go to the euro, you can go to all of those other currencies and match them with the JPY. You will see that you will get the same pullback. Even the CAD will give you the same thing. So thank you guys. I'll see you on the next episode.